Hi Cancer, welcome to your quantum reading. This is for Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Rising. As always, welcome to my cross watchers. Cross watcher, you could be dealing with a Cancer. The message could be for you, so feel free to take it however resonates with you and your situation. Keep in mind that these are general and timeless readings. If you're wanting to book a one-on-one, my website information is down below in the description box. Go ahead and subscribe your email there. That way you'll always get an email notification every time my availability opens up. You can also follow me over on Instagram. That information is also down below. Just know, occasionally I get scammers over there, so all of my links are down below in the description box. I have no other accounts or anything other than that. The only place you can get my services is through my website, which is also down below. And I will never DM you for donations, readings, payments of any sort. So if anything seems off in that way, please report and block. I do not solicit myself in that way. And thank you guys so much for liking, subscribing. Thanks for all the ways you've supported the channel. Let's dive in. Okay. This is an interesting kind of moment that you might see come up. Because I'm seeing, obviously this is connected to death. So this is Pluto energy. Pluto's trigger. And I know I will probably bring it up a lot, especially since it's retrograde, but it's like you can have moments that are popped up with that, because the way that this entanglement happens with the planet is it will specifically highlight, and I brought this up a little bit in Leo's reading, but it specifically highlights power dynamics, obviously in your life, some way, so you might be seeing them. I mean, sometimes this can be the patriarchy, okay? Oh, I had it upside down. But that's kind of what it highlights and focuses on, is like it can literally, and that's why I posted this on my Instagram, is reductionism, because it's like there are these tiny things in your life that you might be discounting to some degree and thinking that it doesn't seem that big, or it's not as big of a thing, but it's actually affecting something within your own energetic power, because you're a carbon unit. And there could be something about, yes, alchemy. I know that I throw that out there a lot. It seems like this hoity-toity fancy word that I throw around that makes me sound all official, like a quantum physicist or something. But I'm legit talking about your pH levels, like bringing up your alkalinity. And that could be something that is getting highlighted in some capacity in your environment when it comes to certain dynamics, because you have truth that's coming out next, which is pretty much like the Ace of Swords. And this could be that this is a really interesting interaction that I'm seeing here, because you have next after that is the rivalry card. And okay, so I'm seeing here, I mean, it's possible even to Cancer that you might be interacting with maybe a Scorpio, but this person might try to subtly dominate your energy in some capacity, like, and this will play out in a bunch of different ways. Like, obviously it's going to be different for all of you, but if you've got someone in your midst that is like wanting to assert their power over you, because maybe it could be that like you go into some type of interaction, Cancer, because like you might have to ask a lot of questions, or you're in a new environment, or something is going on where you're just like feeling a little bit out of your confidence or your power or your comfortability. And if you're coming across as overly apologetic, like for example, if you continue to say sorry, there's just like something that a person is observing, that you're almost like submitting yourself, or you're like even giving them permission to control to some capacity. I'm seeing that there might be this moment here, however this timeline unfolds, because for all of you guys, it's like, depending on what you do in your day-to-day will determine how much you're in your power and out of it, because that will determine like your amount to assert your truth into the situation. So let's say that you're feeling very powerful because you stuck to your routines for a day, like you committed to yourself, and it's making you feel very empowered because you're like, yes, I did all the things, versus a day that you didn't do those things. Okay? That's the very vast difference that you will experience in the interactions that you come across, because you will be asserting yourself into the situation very differently depending on that level of power and confidence that you're coming in with. So they will show. And that's why I'm seeing someone might even come in like it's power. So this person might come into, and I'm seeing the way it plays out, like I am seeing some form of a rivalry. It could be it could be for some of you guys that someone like might have a rivalry with you. Or it could also be that there will be two that are in rivalry over you. Does that make sense? So it could play out in these different capacities. And what I'm seeing here, what might be very interesting is like, you might unconsciously, I don't know how deliberate this is or not, and I am not recommending anything. I'm just saying what's coming out in the cards, because it's showing me that there will be this like very subtle rivalry that is like being created in this dynamic, whether you're aware or not. And that's why I'm almost seeing like in an interesting way, there could be two that are in rivalry over you, and you might not realize that. I don't know. And I mean, this is truth, so it's not showing me that you're doing anything manipulative to create this. It's just kind of showing me that this might be something where you communicate a truth. It's very new for you. Like something about this might be kind of like that you're deciding to stay fully in your truth by communicating that whenever it comes up, rather than putting other people's emotions and needs above yours. If something is creating a disturbance within your energy and you feel it in that moment, you're deciding to communicate that truth in that. Because I'm seeing almost a moment where you go forward into the situation almost like undisturbed, that you're not letting a particular person get to you anymore. And I'm seeing it because that truth is holding you. You're not letting someone come in and pull you out of that. You're very deliberate about this thing that you took notice of, or you saw it when it happened. And this could also be an announcement of truth, but I'm seeing like a lot of, it's causing like a rift between two, if that makes sense. Like there's two energies that I don't know why this is playing out. I mean, for some of you guys, if you're like in a relationship and then there's another person that's coming forward towards you, there's like this natural kind of like, it's an instinctual thing. There's a competitive energy that's like, could be vying for you. It's possible. But I'm seeing that might become a little bit more highlighted over this next week. But I'm seeing like, you might just be a little bit more susceptible to calling out truths when you see certain things. And holding to that. Whether, if this creates some type of conflict where people want to come in and argue with you, you're like holding on to that, because even though like, it's like you're realizing that if people have a negative reaction to that, that's their stuff, right? That's their own shadow boxing that's happening. But it doesn't mean that you're really going through the shadow boxing. It could be like, you just have this truth, you want to communicate it, and it's causing conflict somewhere in the environment, and you're settled with that. You're okay. And that's an interesting, because in the background here, you see how you have the moon? You have like a different knowing that kind of comes in, and it's almost like a far advanced, or you can kind of see how, like, trajectories of how certain things will play out based off of like a little interaction. So you can kind of see that something would turn into a downward spiral. So I'm seeing kind of like that your consciousness can kind of shift into a different direction and see in advance like where this will line up or where it could come into. This is cracking me up. I forgot to pull the other cards. I got so caught up on those ones. Okay. Let's see very quickly what else wants to come out. Because I'm going to lose battery here. What are you? 8 of Wands. Okay, this is quite hilarious because I'm seeing... All right, those are messages and communication. What are they about? You might actually receive a message or something from someone, and it was connected to this situation. So that's why this even could have been for some of you guys a long time ago. Like when it comes to Pluto energy, sometimes it can pull stuff out of the blue because it's like trying to unwind. Like I talked about this, I think in Pisces readings, it's like energetically there could have been some knots that kind of got tied up. And you know how when you get knots inside of your muscles, it's like they're tied to little chemical complications that happened with inside of you. And now it's like actually going to be showing up more and more in your interactions, like that holographic projection that there's complications inside of you. So it could be that that will become very apparent to you. And so now you've got to unwind or undo some things. Oh, there's the 9 of Wands. Well, how crazy is that both came out in like synchronicity? So you've got some form of communications that are going to be coming in that might cause some movement for you. And that might make you feel kind of like, and it's like kind of like you have to make some moves or do some specific things that you kind of don't want to do, but you know you need to do to get to some type of goal. That's kind of what I'm seeing come in here. And it's connected to some kind of communication. It's like it's like you're realizing you need to take some movement. Or like over this next week, it'll be more about doing things that whether you want to or not, because you know that it's going to get you to some type of goal. Even if you don't feel the most energized or motivated, you're just kind of like doing something to overcome. So, right? That's the wounded warrior. So it's like interesting. I was talking about wounds and undoing knots and weird things like that. Could be coming up with this Pluto retrograde for you. So let me dive into the extended. I'll see whatever else wants to come out. If you guys want to join me over there, feel free. Go down below. Click on the Vimeo link and I'll see you over there. But Cancer, if this is where we leave things, I'm sending you so much love. Wishing you all the very best. And I'll see you in your next reading. Take care.